Okay, let's get into this. You're sitting in that interview, right? You've done the handshake, the small talk, and then it hits that question. Tell me about yourself. And suddenly it's like, uh-oh, panic station.
Yeah, total deer in the headlights moment for so many people. Dan Look nails that feeling right at the start of his video, that sense you could just blow it. Your mind just races, like, what do they want? My job history. Do they care about my cat?
Right. And what's really striking, and Dan Luck points this out, is how incredibly fast those first impressions stick.
How fast are we talking?
He says often within the first 3 minutes.
Wow. 3 minutes.
Yeah, think about that. All the effort to get the interview, and boom, those first few moments answering that one question. They're critical. It really shows why you need a plan, a strategy. You can't just wing it.
Exactly. And that's really what this deep dive is about today. For you listening, you want to get up to speed quickly, feel prepared, really ready for this crucial question.
Because that first impression matters so much. So our mission here is to pull out the best bits, the core insights from the experts on how to actually answer, tell me about yourself.
And we've looked at a couple of really helpful perspectives, Dan Lok, of course, and also APNA College, to give you a solid foundation.
Okay, so first things first, what isn't this question asking for? Dan looks pretty clear on this.
Yeah, he really stresses it's not your cue to launch into your life story. Where you grew up, your parents, your first pet.
Forget the autobiography then.
Definitely. The interviewer isn't looking for your personal history. They're trying to figure out something much more specific, much more professional.
Which is?
At its core, Dan Lok frames it as, what value can you bring to this company?
Right. And also, what problems can you solve for us? That's the real question behind the question.
Precisely. That's the mindset you need to have. So, okay, how do you actually build that answer? Dan Lok talks about being your best self.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? Not being fake, I hope.
No, not fake. It's about authenticity, but leading with your strengths. Like, think of it like a coffee date, maybe.
A coffee date? How so?
Well, you're being yourself, but you're probably highlighting your good qualities, your interesting stories, right? You're putting your best foot forward.
Okay, I get that. Presenting the best version.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, that everything you say has to tie back to why IFM.
Why IFM?
What's in it for them, the company? How does your story, your skill, actually benefit them?
That makes sense. It always comes back to their needs.
Always. And Dan Look is this great, maybe cautionary tale about what not to do, this social media manager candidate.
Oh, yeah, I remember that bit. What did they do wrong?
They basically just talked about themselves, like, I need this job because I'm getting married, or the commute is really convenient for me.
Ooh. That's the me trap he warns about.
Exactly. The interviewer's sitting there thinking, okay, but what can you do for us? It completely misses the mark.
So, to avoid that trap, Dan Look has a formula, right? The 3S thing.
Yes, the 3 S's. It's pretty neat. Success, strength, and situation.
Okay, let's break that down. First S, success.
Right. And he even gives you starter phrases like, I have been, or my background is.
Simple enough.
Yeah, and using that social media example again. Instead of the personal stuff, the candidate should have said something like, my background is in growing Facebook fan pages for the past X years. See the difference.
Instantly more relevant, more professional.
And then you layer in the proof, the quantifiable stuff.
The numbers, like helped clients grow pages by 300 to 500% in under 6 months, that kind of thing.
Precisely that kind of thing. Specific results. It shows your impact without just saying, I'm great. And he even suggests mentioning you have references available. It adds weight.
It's evidence, not bragging. Okay, got it. What's the second S?
Strength. Again, simple starter. My strength is, or my real strength is.
And the example?
It was about really understanding the audience, creating content they actually want to share. It's not just listing a skill. It's showing you understand the impact of that skill.
Okay, success, strength. What's the final S?
Situation. This is where you connect everything to the job you're actually interviewing for.
How does that work?
You use a phrase like, what I am looking for is. But critically, you frame it around their needs.
So not, I'm looking for a big salary.
Definitely not. It's about, what I'm looking for is an opportunity to add value, or to help your team achieve X, or to deliver a positive ROI.
Focused on their benefit again.
Always. And then, the kicker, the really smart move Dan Lok suggests.
What's that?
And with a question. Turn it back to them. Something like, is this the kind of contribution ABC company is looking for?
Oh, interesting. Why do that?
Because, as he says, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. It shows you're engaged, you're thinking about their specific context, and it invites them into a dialogue.
That's a powerful little technique. Okay, so that's Dan Lock's 3 S's. Now, what about the Apna College approach? Is it similar?
It is, actually, in spirit. They call it a 3-step strategy, and you'll see a lot of overlap in the core ideas, just framed slightly differently.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1 is greeting, name, and a brief description. So, pretty standard opening.
Like, hi, I'm Jane Doe.
Exactly. But they explain the why behind it. It's not just stating your name. It's your first chance to signal, subtly, how you're a good fit, what value you bring.
Ah, so even the intro has a purpose.
Right. And they also say starting with something familiar, like your name and background, can actually help calm your nerves, build a little confidence right at the start.
That's a good point. Makes sense. What kind of description do they suggest?
It depends if you're a recent grad or experienced. For grads, maybe I'm doing my bachelor's in technology from ABC College, specializing in electronics. For someone experienced, I've been working as an HR manager for 12 years, and I specialize in recruitment.
And customize it, I guess.
Absolutely key. Tailor that description to the specific job you're applying for. Connect the dots for them immediately.
Okay, step 1 covered. What's step 2 in the Apna College strategy?
Accomplishments. This maps really closely to Dan Look's success pillar.
So focusing on achievements again.
Yep. And crucially, quantifying them. Use numbers whenever you possibly can. Make it tangible.
Can you give some examples they used, like for a student?
Sure. They mentioned things like, the number of web projects you built, mentioning the company names, where you interned, if you publish any papers, maybe competition rankings, awards, anything that shows concrete achievement.
Right. Things you can point to.
Exactly. And they tackle that fear of bragging head on. Their line is great. If it's facts, it's not bragging.
Simple. I like that. If it happened and you have evidence, like the numbers, just state it.
Precisely. You're just presenting the data, the evidence of your skills.
Okay, makes sense. What's the third and final step for Apna College?
It's fit with the job. This is where you explicitly say why you want this specific job. Again, very similar to Dan Lock's situation.
So connecting your skills and goals to their role.
Right. You might talk about wanting a good team environment because you value collaboration, or wanting to work on bigger projects for more impact, or maybe seeking a specific kind of challenge.
And they had a warning here too, didn't they?
A really important one. Stay positive about your past experiences. Never, ever badmouth previous employers or colleagues.
That's a huge red flag for interviewers, isn't it?
Massive. They'll just think, okay, if they're negative about their last job, what will they say about us down the line? Keep it positive, focus on the future and the opportunity in front of you.
Good advice. Did Apna College provide full examples, putting all 3 steps together?
They did, which is super helpful. There was one for a sales executive.
How did that sound?
It flowed nicely. Name, experience in a specific region, years of the current company, then the big number, increased Southwest sales by 40%, and finally the goal, getting customers the right product and bringing valuable business to the company.
See? Facts, accomplishments fit, all there.
Exactly. And they had another for a computer engineering undergrad.
What did that one highlight?
It mentioned their university, passion for tech, specific internships, even name-dropping DRDO for a machine learning stint, a published paper, and then connected it to wanting to use their technical skills on large-scale projects that make a difference.
Again, tailored, specific, and shows the why this job.
Precisely. And they reinforce that point. Tailor, tailor, tailor. And keep it concise. Aim for maybe 60 to 90 seconds. Just the relevant stuff.
90 seconds isn't long to make that impact.
It's not, so you need to be focused. Oh, and for freshers or interns, they did mention you could maybe add a relevant hobby, just briefly, to show a bit more personality.
Okay, so different frameworks, but similar core messages. Be relevant, quantify, focus on their needs.
That's the heart of it. And there's one more piece that both sources really hammer home.
Let me guess. Preparation.
You got it. Preparation. Dan Lock is particularly strong on this. He basically says you have to memorize and rehearse your answer.
Memorize? Doesn't it sound robotic?
Well, you rehearse it so much that it sounds natural. Not like you're reading a script, but like it's just flowing. You need to practice it out loud again and again.
So you're not scrambling for words when the pressure's on.
Exactly. You write it down, refine it, say it until it feels comfortable, confident, so you avoid that panic, that freeze-up moment.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You internalize it.
Right. So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's that answering "tell me about yourself" isn't just a formality, it's strategic. It's your prime opportunity to set the tone, make that crucial first impression, and show your value right from the start.
Absolutely essential. So for you listening, the actionable advice is pretty clear.
Yeah, take these frameworks, the 3 S's from Dan Locke, the 3 steps from Apna College, and use them. Build your answer.
Focus on your successes, your key strengths, and really connect them to the job you want. And remember,
Quantify. Use those numbers whenever you can. Prove your impact.
right. And maybe that leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. Beyond these great frameworks, what else is there? What unique pieces of your story, your background, your passions can you weave in? Not the life story stuff, but the things that make you, you.
How can you make it memorable?
Yeah, how do you go beyond just ticking the boxes? What subtle things can show your genuine excitement for this specific role, this specific company? How do you create that real connection?
That's a great question to think about. Finding that unique angle.
Exactly, that little extra spark that makes them remember you.